Hey everybody, welcome back to Now It's Dark. I'm Jim. I couldn't wait for May, so I watched Stop Motion on Fandango. You can rent this on Fandango for $6.99, or you can buy it digitally, of course. The trend of the century. You can buy it for $19.99. So this is a U.S. release date of 2024. I know it also is technically a 2023 film, but US release was 2024, so that's what I'm counting it on. This will be released on Shudder in May. I think May 5th or 15th. I'm not 100% positive, but I really couldn't wait. I keep seeing little things, and the movie just looked creepy as heck, and I just wanted to watch it. So $6.99, definitely well worth it. Probably going to be the best movie I've seen in 2024. I know we're only 3 months in, but this movie had everything that I love about this. So it's a horror movie with a blend of some stop motion animation, obviously. It has 6 star rating on IMDb already with about 900 reviews at the time of this video. It's about a stop motion animator struggling to control her demons after the loss of her overbearing mother. Um, Written and directed by Robert Morgan, and also Robin King has writing credits on this. Not a huge cast. There's a lot of background characters, but not, they're just like extras, I suppose. Our main lead is Ella, and she's played by Aisling Franciosi. Man, I hate that. Her mom, Stella Gonet, plays Susan Blake. She has a boyfriend, Tom York, played by Tom. And Tom has a sister named Polly, played by Therica Wilson Reed. And there is this little girl. I assumed she was a neighbor because Ella lives in like an apartment building. They never release the girl's name. It's just she's just there. They never call her by a name. She was played by CAOILINN Springall, and I really hope I pronounced that right because she was fantastic. She was really, really creepy at times, but good. There's a lot going on in this movie. This is like a blend of a lot of things, and it all worked really, really well with me. If you've watched my reviews before, I always use this term, descent into madness. And Ella's character uh, is an aspiring stop motion animator, which her mother was. So the beginning of the film is showing Ella being given direction from her mother. They have a studio in their apartment or whatever, and Ella's mother has, for some reason, it wasn't really explained, she's lost the use of her hands. So Ella becomes her hands, and Ella's not doing anything creative on her own. But her mother is very, very overbearing, just like that description was. Like you can feel the tension, you can feel it. She almost was, I don't know, she was very dominating over Ella, though. And Ella is at a point in her life where that must have been going on since childhood. And this is going to be spoiler free, so I can't really give some of my speculations and my thoughts because there are things that are just not, explained necessarily. Like they didn't need to be, but you can draw your own conclusions as to what the dynamics of Ella and her mother, who eventually does fall ill and ends up having to go into the hospital, leaving Ella kind of alone to finish this project that they're working on. Ella is in a network of other friends that are also stop motion animators, and they're all working on a project. And Tom is trying to be supportive to a degree, and Ella's just like finding herself very confused on what to do. She's not having direction given to her, so she's realizing maybe she can't do this because she doesn't have that ability to kind of go. She kind of gets a thought but doesn't know how to execute. And so it's a weird dynamic. And then this young girl, little girl, I'm calling her neighbor girl going forward. She kind of she's just in the picture all of a sudden. She kind of makes contact with Ella in the hallway of the apartment complex, and she's very forward and she's very kind of pushy. And she looks at what Ella and her mother were working on and gives Ella some feedback that wasn't very positive. And Ella's like, well, what do you mean it's not good? And she's like, yeah, it's boring and it's just, it doesn't look good. You should try a different story with all new characters. And Ella's just blown away. She's like, ugh, what do you mean? So the little girl gives her some suggestions. She gives her a part one, so to speak, of a story that she's creating, and gives Ella the concept idea. Ella's like, "This is my film. I'm gonna finish this." Blah blah blah. So they kind of go, and then Ella realizes maybe that little girl's idea wasn't so bad, so she starts working on it, changes her whole setup, creates the character that the little girl had suggested, using this particular material in her little studio there. She picked up some of the I forget what it's called. It's the paste or putty that a mortician would use to uh, fill skin on a corpse, to prep them for display for a funeral. Mortician's putty, I think it might have been called. And the little girl was suggesting that that character be made out of that, and Ella did do it. So then, like, the little girl does end up coming back, and she sees that Ella is doing her work after all. And then the little girl gets a little bit more like, well, you need to do this to that character. And I was like, no, I don't think that is a good idea. And the little girl is, well, do you want to know the rest of the story? If you want to know the next part, you have to change the character with this other additional material. And I was like, I don't need the next part of the story. I can just do it myself and keep this the way it is. It's my story. And the little girl's like, is it? And it was so good, so good. And I don't want to spoil this for anybody because I so highly recommend this. There are some Cronenberg-ish kind of visualizations. We even have like a goofy, not goofy. There's nothing goofy about this movie at all. Um, there's like a sex scene that takes place, like a drug-induced sex scene at this party, and you really don't know what's real and what's not real. It's at one point Ella takes some party drugs to kind of escape the pressures of, because she's really fallen apart, and the little girl is just at certain points where you wouldn't think. So you start to wonder, like, what's the little girl's thing? Like, what's going on with that? There are um, things that happen in the movie that I want to say they're twists, but the way that the story is laid out and the way that you're watching Ella, they're not really twists. Everything is from like a point of view where, while it's shocking and you are able to piece together certain parts of the story of the puzzle, so to speak, it's not done in a manner where you're like feeling like you were tricked at the beginning. Nothing is laid out like that. I hope that makes sense, because sometimes you get a twist and you're just like, that is so out of left field. How is that a twist? This doesn't have that, but it does have like shocking reveals, so to speak. But they're so consistent with the way that the story is going. You're just like, you just keep watching through. I was so on the edge of my seat watching this. There are definite jump scares. Uh, the little stop motion creatures. One of them is called the Ash Man in this new story that the little girl is feeding Ella. All of them are so creepy. Stop motion can be creepy anyways. And at that party, there's some other stop motion video being played on this one very psychedelic room. And I don't know, like it's really crazy. I want to look at my notes because I'm really afraid I'm gonna skip something. Ella does visit her mother a few times while she's in the hospital, and it's not a spoiler to tell you that the mother does end up passing away, and that's kind of like the breaking point for Ella, I think, and that's where she kind of like 100% gives in to the little girl's direction. Um, her mother, Ella, and her mother have this very interesting deathbed conversation, and the mother tells her, like everybody's a puppet and they're being given direction. And when the person giving the direction is done with you, the puppets go back into their box. And it was so interesting. And it just, I think, kind of made Ella just kind of give in to the fact that she just needs to let the little girl tell her what to do. And they do some kind of horrific, gross stuff. And it just comes to a climax where Tom is just not able to keep seeing Ella declining in her mental capacity, and she tries to get Tom, the boyfriend, tries to get his sister Polly to help her by offering her a job. Polly is also works at an ad agency. Ella tries to make one last ditch effort at normal life and does go to that place, but then sees accidentally that Polly is working on a project that is very similar to the one that Ella is working on or had been working on. And Ella just loses it. She breaks down and she tries to destroy the set. And it just, from that point on, it's just aggressiveness from Ella. Uh, she ends up in the hospital at one point, but then the little girl convinces her that she just needs to go finish this uh, film that she's been working on. And so when Tom and Polly realize that she like left the hospital, they know where she went, so they go to the apartment. Big confrontation. Some crazy shit happens, and then Ella has to do some more very kind of gross things and finish the project. And there's something to be said about an artist. True artists, I think one of the lines in the film was true artists always give more of themselves or are part of themselves into their work because of how much it means. And yeah, it's crazy ending, and a fitting ending too, because the ending ends on part of that conversation that the mother and her had before the mother passed away. But fantastic performances. Everybody was super good. They did their roles the way they should be. The lighting was always so moody. The music was perfect. Like this honestly, for me, it's way better than a 7 or a 6, which IMDb has. I would put this at like an 8.5, 9, which is a crazy high score. But I would love this movie so much. That little girl, CAOILINN Springall, she's only done a few things, but man, she was so good. She really did her role well, and Ella was good too. The two of them, their chemistry was very good. It was exactly, I'm sure, what the writer director Robert Morgan wanted, and I can't highly recommend this enough. If you can hold out, again, it'll be on Shudder in May. If not, you can go to Fandango. And I forget about Fandango every once in a while. I do get daily emails from them, and I forget that they often offer movies that are in theater. If they're on a limited run in theaters, a lot of times you can rent them to view at home from Fandango. And it was only $6.99, probably the best $7 I've spent this year so far. I don't know. I went to McDonald's a few times, but anyways, if you've seen Stop Motion or you have thoughts about it, try to keep it spoiler free in the comments, because this is one of those movies that I really want everybody to watch with as little spoilers going into it as you can, like I did, and just enjoy the craziness. And I really would like some feedback on this. But this is a really long review, so if you made it this far, I appreciate it so much. Please stick through the commercials, the ads at the end of this, and help me out with that. And hit the like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Have a great day.
Row 18, plot 20.